finished 8 books in the month of August, so let's talk about it. 2 of them are epic fantasies with romance. One of them is a historical fantasy with romance. One is a dark academia, dark romance. I also digitally read a portal fantasy with a little bit of romance and a standalone dark romance paranormal erotica, and listen to 2 portal fantasies of the same series that are reverse harem. Let's see if your next read is right here. In this video, you will get a combination of what the book is about and my thoughts with no spoilers whatsoever, because I don't love to spoil things, but I like to give you enough information so that you can make up your mind if this next read is for you. The way that I structure this is that I will read the description of the book. I will then give my own summary, because sometimes now that I've read the book, obviously I can give more information as to what the book is actually about rather than just the summary that it comes with. And then I will give you my thoughts. I will also have a graphic that will give you some of the tropes that you will find if that's something that you're interested in. Let's start this off with Shield of Sparrows by Devney. And the reason we're starting off with this one is because this was my book club pick of the month. I have a book club. It's called Nerds of a Quill, and you can find it on Fable, Storygraph, Goodreads, or my Discord. All the links should be in the bio. I usually put up a poll of about 6 books so that people can vote, and this one won by an overwhelming amount. And in summary, it was worth it. Everyone who read it for the book club absolutely loved this book. So now let's see what it's about. First of all, I have like the special edition, so look at the art inside. It's gorgeous. Even the little foil here. Look at the, oh, isn't this beautiful? It's so gorgeous. Anyway, if you're not terrified, you're doing it wrong. Long ago, the gods unleashed monsters upon the 5 kingdoms of Calandra to remind us that humans are insignificant, that we must pray to the gods for mercy throughout our fragile, fleeting lives. I didn't need a deity to remind me I was powerless. Being a princess had never been more than a performance. 23 years of empty titles and hollow traditions. My sister revels in the spectacle, basking in the attention and flawlessly playing her part. I was never asked to be part of the charade. Until the day an infamous monster hunter sailed to our shores. The day a prince walked into my father's throne room and ruined my life. The day I married a stranger, signed a magical treaty in blood, and set off across the continent to the most treacherous kingdom in all the realm. That was the day I learned that not all myths are make-believe, that lies and legends are often the same, and that the only way to kill the monsters we fear was to become one. First of all, I actually hadn't read this before, and this was really good. Like, this is a pretty good summary. But I have to put it into my own words. So the story follows the protagonist named Odessa, and she is the firstborn of the king in this kingdom. Her mom died or disappeared or something like that, and he remarried to the mom's lady's maid. So scandalous. They've been married for a very long time now. They have another daughter, and the other daughter has been trained to basically do what like you would think the oldest daughter would be set up to do. So the youngest sister has been made to like be a warrior and a fighter, just like know her way around weapons. They have this treaty in this kingdom in order to keep them from going to war. When one of the royals has a daughter, they will marry them off to a son of another kingdom. And this whole thing is written in blood so that they prevent each other from attacking one another. And this whole thing is called Shield of Sparrows. Like, that's like the treaty. And so the sister has been told basically her entire life that she's gonna be the sparrow. When it's time, the prince from this other kingdom arrives, and instead of picking the sister like he's supposed to, he was like, I reject her and I want her instead, our protagonist. And obviously this throws everyone into a frenzy. It is revealed, this happens very early on, so no spoilers, but the dad reveals that this whole time that the sister had also been trained to spy, because they believe that this other kingdom has like a way to stop these monsters attacks that happen like every certain amount of years, even though these kingdoms prepare for years for these like monster migration, many still die. So she's basically told by the father, like, you need to spy, you need to find out where this hidden city is that nobody knows where it is, no spy can find it. And one of the prince from this other kingdom's guard, people say that he's like been touched by gods or something like that, because he has this extraordinary abilities that nobody else has. And so she's also tasked with figuring out what he can do exactly and can he be killed? And if so, can she kill him also? And so she goes off, obviously she leaves right away, and she finds out really quickly that she is not really trusted and she's not very good at spying. And obviously there's this weird thing happening where the prince is acting really weird. The guard is acting really weird with her. There is obviously like a romance aspect in all of this, both because she has a duty, but also like in general, she's catching feelings. And then she's also realizing that there's like normal monsters. I don't know how else to describe it other than like they're bad, but they're not like the massive monsters that go and migrate and like kill everyone every couple of years. They're like just ones that kind of roam around, and they're dangerous on their own, but something is happening to them and they're becoming even more aggressive for some reason, which is not good because they don't need these monsters to become more aggressive when they're like less than a year away from this migration happening. And so there's also like that like issue, that mystery of like why are they more aggressive, and also can they be stopped? And so she's having her own personal issues, while also there's these whole big thing that's happening that is nothing to do with her necessarily, but she's also part of, because if it affects this kingdom, it affects every kingdom. I would say that what I liked a lot about the story is that there were a lot of different layers that were happening. The world building was great, but also very simple in that it wasn't difficult to follow. Like, the air monsters, people need to deal with it. And you're like, okay, cool. But what I also really liked is that she's somebody who has felt really insecure, and you find this insecurity very early on. Literally within the first chapter that you meet her, you kind of realize that she's kind of always been pushed aside. She's always the last to know information. I mean, she literally just finds out, not because they want her to know, but she finds out that like her sister has been being trained to like spy. They won't even really tell her what they're after, by the way. They're just like, you need to spy. It's like, for what? And it's like, what the hell? She has that like kind of chip on her shoulder about the fact that nobody really trusts her ever. What I really enjoyed was that like this was something that continued on throughout the whole story. And so I felt like it was great to see that arc of her kind of finding herself. I also thought that the romance aspect was really interesting because, again, there is this aspect of like what her duty is versus what her heart is telling her, and like, I don't know, there was like a lot of layers to it, and that's kind of what I found about the story. There was like a lot of layers. People around her weren't all good or all bad, and I also think that's like more interesting when people have their reasonings for doing something, and it just makes the characters a lot more interesting. So I really enjoyed the story. I'm very much looking forward to the next one, and again, everyone in my book club also really enjoyed this one, so recommend. Next, we're going to talk about Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. Also a gorgeous cover. Look at that. Look at the gold foil. Does it have... Oh, okay, this is great. Yeah, it's cute. So it has like little swirls here, and it has like this little... It's cute. So I want to talk about this book next because, drumroll, I interviewed the author Elise Kova. I have a show, it's called The Nerd Tea, where I interview authors. As of the time that I am recording this, the episode is not out, but now that you're seeing this video, it should be out by this point. If not, very soon. Just really quickly before we get into this book, I highly recommend the episode if you want to know more about the book and her thoughts on it, or if you're just interested in writing and you want to hear from somebody who's really good and really cares about the craft, then I would definitely recommend. I didn't realize that I had heard of Elise Kova, but I had seen some of her books before because she is mostly an indie author. She has published like 30 books independently. This is her first one that is traditionally published. I have several indie bookshops that I have signed up for their newsletter. And sometimes when they have book signings, even if I don't know the author or read the book or anything, but I like read the description and I'm like, you know, that's something that I think I might be interested in, I just kind of go. I just gotta go to the book signings. I'm like, let's see what happens. And so I went to this book signing knowing nothing. Everyone was like major fangirling over here because there was also another author with her that is also extremely established in the independent world especially. And everyone was fangirling and I was like, They're like, who are you here for? I was like, I'm not sure. I heard everything that she had to say and the other author had to say. I also bought her book and I just loved it. I loved everything that they were talking about. And actually that day that we met was the release day. It was like that day. So it was really cool. Now let's actually talk about the book. A woman who wields magical tarot cards lands herself in a false engagement with the headmaster of a mysterious academy in this first installment of an enthralling fantasy romance series from the best-selling author of A Deal with the Elf King. Clara Greysword has survived the underworld of Eclipse City through thievery, luck, and a whole lot of illegal magic. After a job gone awry, Clara is sentenced to a lifetime in prison for inking tarot cards, a rare power reserved for practitioners at the elite Arcana Academy. Just when it seems her luck has run dry, the Academy's enigmatic headmaster, Prince Kalis, offers her an escape. For a price. Kalis believes that Clara is the perfect tool to help him steal a tarot card from the king and use it to recreate an all-powerful card long lost to time. In order to conceal her identity and keep her close, Kalis brings Clara to Arcana Academy, introducing her as the newest first-year student and his bride-to-be. Thrust into a world of arcane magic and royal intrigue where one misstep will send her back to prison, or worse, Clara finds that the prince she swore to hate may not be what he seems. But can she risk giving him power over the world and her heart? Or will she take it for herself? Ah, so good. The premise of this book is one of the most unique ones I've read in a while, or at least the magic system in this book. When we first meet Clara, she is at this awful prison. She has committed the awful crime of inking her own tarot cards. And inking is very special because you need to be able to put your, like, some sort of magic into your inking. Otherwise, it's just like a drawing, it's just a card. There was a point in the history where anyone could actually practice this, but it was then deemed too dangerous and too loose that everyone was just kind of doing it and there was no regulations. And so it was outlawed. And so now anyone who wants to do this has to go through the academy. Her mom taught her, and so it's like an illegal thing that she was doing, and she was caught and she was sent to prison. This is all the things we know literally when we first meet her. She is visited by the headmaster of this academy, who is also the second-born prince. He makes a deal with her. If she can ink this specific card and help steal this other card from the king, then she can continue being a student at the academy. She'll be his bride and she will have her freedom and she won't have to return to this prison or be killed. And this prison is terrible, by the way, so she absolutely takes it. There are many things that I love about this, and I'll try to say it without spoiling, but in no particular order. The things that I really enjoyed about the story are the tarot magic card system. I'd never read anything like it, and as somebody who doesn't know tarot cards, I was able to follow along perfectly well. I had no issues understanding what was happening. I like the character. She's very strong, she's very talented, and what I really like about her talent is that because she learned in the regulated way, she is having to kind of adjust her way of teaching versus how they want her to learn. And so I thought it was like a really cool commentary on that aspect of like culture and kind of like trying to regiment something. It almost felt like the loss of something when she was having to adjust, and I really enjoyed that. In general, I love dark academia settings. I think that they're so much fun. There's a lot to play with. I really enjoyed the fact that this headmaster that she meets is an all evil being, and throughout the story he is both still that evil being and has reasons to do what he does. And so it's kind of like you go back and forth between not knowing if you can trust him or not. And I think that gives a great dynamic because she has to work with him, because otherwise, again, she's gonna be sent back to prison if she's not convincing that she's the bride to be. You know what I mean? And so they're kind of forced to trust each other, but also they don't. And I think that's great. Like, I think that's such a fun dynamic to give these two people. Obviously there's mystery, obviously there's corruption of power. She has her own found family outside of the academy that she's trying to figure out what happened, because she got caught, and so she was always scared like that her being caught went back to her family. So there's this whole thing of her trying to figure out, is her found family okay, while she's also trying to pass the actual classes and exams in this academy that can be deadly. There's just a lot of things that are happening, not in a confusing way, but in a way that makes the stakes really high and makes the story even that much more intriguing. And I found that her pacing was fantastic. I just thought this was just such a great book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been recommending it to anyone and everyone. I mean, yeah, to the point that I reached out to the author to interview her because I enjoyed the story that much. The Shadow Bride. This is the second one in a duology. The first one is called The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin, and the duology is actually a spin-off for a trilogy that she has. It's called Serpent and Dove, and this is it in that world as far as I know. I don't believe she's planning on writing anything else in this world, so this is it for that world. I won't tell you exactly what happens in this book because I don't like to give you spoilers, so I would just kind of briefly describe the series as a whole and then tell you my thoughts on this book. So first of all, let's give you a brief summary of the things that are important from the original trilogy, which is that this is based in sometime in France. There are supernatural creatures and there are witches with magic, obviously, and magic is not tolerated and witches are hunted. In the original trilogy, you follow a witch who is trying to hide the fact that she is a witch. Within the witches, there are also bad witches, and so there's just a lot of evil and corruption all over that story. In that original trilogy, you meet the protagonist of this book. Her name is Elise. Elise is a noble. She grew up very sheltered, and you find out in that original trilogy that her sister was killed by witches, and so she very much is afraid of magic, but she does come a long way in that series, and she does go through something extremely traumatic. Actually, a little bit of spoilers if you haven't read the original trilogy and you want to. By the time you meet Elise in the first book of the duology, the world is now trying to be more accepting of witches, and she is trying to be there to like change things as well and like be with the people who could change things. However, murders start to happen and she gets kidnapped by vampires. We didn't know that vampires existed, but they do. She gets kidnapped by them because there's a whole case of mistaken identity. Thus, now she is trying to solve this murder and also save her skin and save the life of her friends so that they don't get blamed for this murder. All the while, romance is brewing and darkness is coming to her because she has been touched by a dark entity. Let's just leave it at that. It's very hard to talk about what happened in this book without giving you massive spoilers, because the last book ends in a big cliffhanger and then you get this book and obviously it answers the cliffhanger. So it's very hard for me to say, but I will tell you what sort of things I enjoy about the story in general. First of all, who doesn't love a good gothic romance? I love the vibes of the story. I think Shelby does such a good job, like in her prose. It's so nice to read. I love the fact that there is a historical aspect to it and that Elise was a noble. There's a lot of like her trying to reconcile who she was basically raised to become versus the things that have happened to her versus where she is now versus what she wants in her life. So there's a lot of like inner turmoil with her. I love her arc in the first book and I love how it continues in this book, but I also love how it is a journey. It's not something that's just like solved instantaneously. She really has to like find herself, and I really enjoy going on that journey with her. I absolutely enjoyed the darkness that follows this and the mystery of the darkness, because there is this mysterious being kind of following her in the first book. It's all very confusing as to what is happening. Even throughout the first part of this book, you're like, what is happening? But it's all just so, yeah, it's just very intriguing in my opinion. The romance aspect I love. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of slow burn in it because, again, she is still trying to figure out like the things that she thought she knew about the world versus what is right in front of her, and the romance sort of seeps into that as well. And overall, I just thought that the world that Shelby had created has just been a joy to read, really. But I will say the first 3 books and these 2 books feel completely different, because the first trilogy isn't really in that gothic style, but it fits Elise so well. Like, it fits this character so well. If you are watching this video around autumn or around like Halloween, this series, especially the duology, like is the one that you need to pick up, and it'll get you into like the right vibe for the season. The last of the physical books that I have on me is Nightshade by Autumn Woods. I have a book club, but I'm also part of another book club, and this was the book club pick, and so I kind of went into it extremely blind. I don't always love dark romance, not because I think that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just I sometimes have a hard time suspending disbelief, because I feel like I have an easier time with like fantasy, but sometimes with like real life dark romance I have a little bit of an issue. But I also have a lot of FOMO, and I didn't want to miss out on the month's read, so I was like, F it. And I have to say, as somebody who doesn't really do dark romance, this was great. This is a very fun read. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this is kind of a dark academia as well. And this whole stack of books that I just talked about are great for autumn and great for like Halloween time. Like, all of them fit the vibe really well. I clearly read this in the wrong month. He'll burn the world down for her, but she'll burn his to the ground. Ophelia Winters wants revenge. Isolated in the Scottish Highlands, Sparrows University only welcomes students from the most powerful families. Ophelia doesn't belong, but a rare scholarship grants her the opportunity to investigate her parents' accidental death near the castle grounds. Her plan? Keep her head down and punish those responsible. The last thing she needs is to wind up in a mafia war or step on the toes of actual royalty. Things go off on a rocky start when she runs afoul of the mysterious Alex Kerbo-Green, son of her prime suspect. As far as she's concerned, he is a younger version of his billionaire father, a monster hiding beneath a beautiful facade. Loneliness has been Ophelia's only companion for years, but when an unknown tormentor begins to stalk her, she realizes she may not be able to survive Sorrowsong on her own. It's Alex who becomes her ally and alibi for murder. And as she begins to fall for the soft heart that hides beneath his hard exterior, her hunger for revenge wavers. Can she bring herself to destroy everything he's ever known? Mystery, murder, revenge. Welcome to Sorrowsong University. Yes, this story essentially follows this girl who, her parents used to work at this mysterious sort of university, and it welcomes only really powerful people around the world. This includes like sons and daughters from like mafia lords and like people in business who are kind of shady. Like, you've got all sorts of characters in here. She is given a scholarship, and at this point her parents died when she was still a minor, and they kind of left her by herself. She was always kind of isolated because her parents were always away anyway. She didn't have a lot of friends, and so when they died, she really became isolated, and she has kind of put her life on a standstill. She also tried to get more of an investigation into her parents' death. They both died in a helicopter crash, and nobody was really interested in doing much more investigation other than, you know, it was an accident. And so her life has been kind of put on pause, and then she gets this opportunity to have a scholarship at this place, and she suddenly has found a new purpose, which is revenge. Basically, she wants to find out what exactly happened. She thinks she will have a much better chance when she's at this university of finding out what happened. And so she accepts and she goes in. Very quickly, she meets our love interest. His name is Alex, and he is the son of a super billionaire, you know, tycoon. And that is her prime suspect. So at first she's very much thinking like he's very much like his father, so maybe he knows something, or at least if he doesn't know what happened to her parents, like there's no way that he doesn't know what his father is up to. And so in her head it's like, whether he has something to do with my parents or not, like he's equally as guilty. Things happen, and he basically is her alibi for a murder that she did not commit, but she just found herself around there. At the same time, she now has a stalker. So there's a lot of things that are happening in her life, and so she kind of like is put in a situation where she slowly has had to trust people, even though that was never her plan, including Alex. And she finds obviously that like there's like layers to him, and he's not just like this big bad, you know, tycoon's son or whatever. But she's really conflicted throughout this whole story because she still wants to find out what the heck happened to her parents, and then what does she do when she gets that information. I think what I liked a lot about the story, and again, I don't normally do dark romances, but there's a lot of aspects that I really liked about the story in no particular order. One, I really enjoyed the romance aspect. Sometimes, and again, this is no hate to anyone who likes dark romance, it's totally fine. What doesn't mesh with me sometimes is that I don't see the line between like lust and a lot of like non-consent to love. Like, to me, it doesn't really convince me when it crosses the line to love. And I thought that this one did convince me when it starts crossing over to like, you know, to more of a relationship and more of like caring feelings. There is this whole mystery obviously about like what happened to her parents, so that was really intriguing. And there's this whole mystery of like the fact that she has a stalker, and you don't know, is the stalker that they have something to do with the parents' death? Like, we just don't know. What I do really like is whodunits. I love whodunits. I'm a whodunit girly, and so this really gave me like that like whodunit, you know. And as I said previously in this video, I love dark academia vibes anyway, so this just kind of gave me all of the little things that I love. It is supposedly, I believe, a duology. For those people who are looking for romance aspect, this had enough of it. But if you're somebody who liked more of the mystery person, there's also a big aspect to it. So I didn't think that one overpowered the other at all. I thought it was like, it meshed really well. So yeah, recommend. Now let's move on to the 2 books that I've read digitally. The first one is also a duology. The second one has not come out yet. It's called Skalterra by Nightmare. And I actually have no clue how I even found this. Sometimes I will come across books and I will see that they're, you know, in Kindle Unlimited, so I'll just like download them and save them for later. Or I'll see that they're not and I'll just get them from the library and I'll forget that I like have put a hold on it until I get a notification. And sometimes by the time that I get to them, I'll just be like, what are you? Where did you come from? What are you about? Why are you here? And I'll completely forget. This is one of those where I'm like, I don't know how, but it was already downloaded. So I was like, okay, cool, let's read it. Don't know where you came from. Past me clearly thought something sounded intriguing. Present me doesn't remember anything about it, and I actually went into it deciding not to read any of the summary and just be like, let's see what happens. So I actually had no idea what the book was when I first started. Let me read to you what it's about first and then we can discuss. Ren Warrender wants nothing more than to get off the wait list at her dream school and survive the summer with an insufferable new co-worker. So when a group of magicians drag her sleeping consciousness into a magical realm called Scattera to act as their weapon each night, she's less than thrilled. An old evil is breaking free of his glacial prison, and now it's up to Ren to keep him from unleashing chaos across 2 separate realities. The lines between waking and sleep start to blur, and Ren is forced to reckon with the fact that some bad dreams are more than nightmares. So the story follows Ren. Ren is somebody who is not great socially. She goes to stay with her grandma for the summer before college. She has been waitlisted from her dream university, and it just so happens that her grandma lives kind of close, and so she figures she's gonna stay there and try to get herself off the wait list. And she's been like trying to email and call and see if like she can get herself off and maybe like go interview with them and everything. Her grandma owns a shop, and one of the locals is back, just so happens, from the university that she wants to go to. And so they kind of start building a friendship, kind of. I say this because he is trying to build a friendship with her. He's a sweetheart, by the way. He's like golden retriever vibes. He's so cute. And she's kind of like, this is sus. Why are you trying to be friends with me? Nobody wants to be friends with me. I don't think so. It's kind of like a begrudging friendship that forms there. At the same time, when she's sleeping, and actually the book opens up with her thinking she's dreaming, and she's like, where am I? Why do I have blue hair? What the fuck is happening? There's like war and battle happening around her, and she's like, oh my god, this is vivid. Fast forward, you find out that it was not a dream. Actually, there is this whole other parallel realm that has magic, and some people have the rare ability to create what are called nightmares, where they essentially pull sleeping people from the like earth and use them as like soldiers, basically like mindless soldiers, to fight in this war, because if they die, nothing happens. They just wake up in their world and it's fine. So they're like, it's like a constant, whenever they just need bodies to kind of like hold down the line, they just kind of call these nightmares. But for some reason, she's kind of lucid. Like, she's kind of like, what is happening? They're like, why are you so like aware? She's like, He actually calls her over and over and over again. And she's like, this is weird. Stop doing that. This is clearly, I'm actually going through psychosis, probably, because what the heck is going on? And so she keeps like killing herself in order to like wake herself up. And so the magician's like, okay, I'm gonna actually put a limit. If you die here, you start taking off lives. I don't know why I just did that. And when you get to the last one, you're dead. And at some point, things happen and she's like, this is not a dream. This is real. This is weird. What is happening? He doesn't even need to wait for her to be sleeping. Like, give her the courtesy. He could just be like, she could just be like, I don't know, in the bathroom, and calls her, and she's like, goes to sleep in Earth. Obviously over there, she like wakes up, and she's like this like ideal version of her. She's like tall and muscular, has blue hair. She's a badass. She has like magic, right? Like, this is her soldier avatar is basically like everything she's not. There were these like magicians that were really, really powerful once upon a time. Things were happening with the magic. It was kind of being corrupt and stuff like that. And they actually were the ones who split the two realms. So it used to all be one, and so they split it. And one side got magic and one side didn't. But this side wants to break that apart to actually have more free use of magic rather than just this controlled amount that they have. And so in order to do that, they have to kill like the ancestors of these people and free this the evil one that wanted to do this originally, the one that wanted to keep things separate. He's like frozen in this whatever, like iceberg, I don't know. In order to break him out, they need to kill all the other people that could stand as protectors. She's brought in by the people who are trying to protect this child. Actually, the last one in the line of defense is a child, and so they're trying to protect her and get her to like a safer space. So that's why they keep calling her back. And the magician guy's like, look, I will keep calling you back and you will be free once we get this girl to safety. Like, we just need to get her there. And she's like, okay, fine. And they're being hunted down by this evil soldier or whatever from the other side. Obviously, there's more things that are happening that I will not say because I don't want to spoil anything. What I will say is that I absolutely love how like what was happening in one realm kind of like helped her growth and her arc in the other realm. Like the fact that her avatar is so completely different than her, and it's kind of everything she wants to be and she finds that she cannot be. And so I just found that aspect of the story really cool. I found that the mystery aspect of the story was really fun. You actually don't know if there's romance involved in this for a very long time. So I kind of also like that most of her journey had nothing to do with romance. I'm looking at like the tags here and it's like romanticities. I don't believe so, actually. I think that there is like a little bit of a crush aspect and a little bit of like, kind of thing, but I don't think this is a romance at all. I think this is more to do with her and her internal struggle and then this evil thing that is happening in the world with just a tinge of like, is there romance? It was really cool. It was really interesting. It was a really interesting concept. I love anything that had to do with like dreams, because how many of us haven't had like an extremely vivid dream and you're like, what does it mean? And so I love the idea that the author, MT Zimny is the name, decided like, this is what those dreams mean. When you're dreaming this, you're actually in this other realm. And I was like, okay, cool. This is fun. I can't wait for the second book and the ending of the story. It's a duology. The next book is called Death's Obsession by Avina St. Grace. And it's also one of those books that was already downloaded. And I was like, where did you come from? Who are you? I think past me saw a raven and just like dark cover and was like, yes, this is for me. I love that kind of aesthetic, so I feel like that's probably what happened in this case. He's coming for you. Death is meant to come on a chariot of broken dreams or in the dark trenches of a storm, not in love letters and gifts. He did not take my soul when I was meant to die. He did not want it all the other times that I've offered it to him on a silver platter. Yet time and time again, he reminds me that I am his night monster, his dark love, his perfect other. Death was the only thing keeping me alive. He watches me from his corner, taunts me with sweet messages, marks my body with his touch as I sleep. He took the people that I love away from me. Still, no one believed me when I said that I saw the faceless man on the night of the accident. No one can escape death. Me? I'm chasing it. This is basically a novella. It's actually really short. It's a little bit of an erotica, kind of. The whole premise is essentially there was a car accident. Her family's gone. She survived the accident. And when she did, she thought she saw this man there, and nobody believes her. Like, not her therapist, not her boyfriend, no, nothing. It's been years since that happened, and she's extremely depressed. She's obviously in medication. She has attempted suicide and all of that. You hear about it, you don't really see it. But also what you know already from the start of this is that she keeps getting these mysterious letters and mysterious messages that are sent to her. And at first, when she had tried to tell people about it, they were telling her that she was actually sleepwalking or whatever, and she was doing this to herself. Like, she was sending herself messages and leaving them for herself. Like, and she's like, no, I swear it's a being. And they're like, no. Until finally, one night, Death actually reveals himself, confirms what she already kind of knew in her heart, that she wasn't doing this for herself. Like, somebody was sending her these messages, and it was Death. It's a kind of dual POV. In his point of view, like, she's like, why won't you accept me? Why won't you take me? And for him, he's like, I can't do that until you do this on your own. So you actually have to heal before I do this. So it's kind of like her journey of trying to heal, like, mentally and emotionally and spiritually as like a person, while also it's like, it's straight up erotica. Death has a shadow that he can control and can get bigger. It's also can be felt. It's corporeal, however you pronounce that. So it's a way of having two for one, if you know what I mean. I like the premise. I mean, the smut was great. Like, what can I say? I do think that I might actually, funny enough, have enjoyed it more if it wasn't a novella. Like, if it actually had been longer, even if it was just one book, like a standalone, I think I might have enjoyed it more if it wasn't a novella, and we really would have taken time with her journey, because I felt like we missed out a lot of her journey. It did what it was meant to do. Like, if you're looking for a quick read, just like something dark and, you know, kind of romance, and something obviously very smutty and, like, you know, like that kind of vibe, then this is definitely like right for you. I liked it. It's one of those things where, like, it's a novella. It is what it is. I liked it, but I also didn't, like, my life wasn't changed. Also, I finished it really quick. I finished it couple hours. I finished it real quick. And now to the two stories that I listened to in audiobook. I don't really do a lot of audiobooks personally. I don't know why, but I went to a book festival. It featured mostly small and independent authors, but it had a table of audio narrators, and one of the audio narrators had, like, the QR codes for some of the books that she had been narrating. And so I was like, you know what? Let's try this whole thing out. She's like, what are you looking for? I was like, well, I usually like romance and that kind of stuff. So, like, fantasy romance, that's kind of what I like. And she's like, try this series. It's completed. Like, the whole trilogy is already out. You don't have to wait for it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Perfect. Actually, probably for the best for somebody who is like, I have done audiobooks, but mostly if I'm going on, like, really long road trips. This is the first time that I was going to attempt just audiobook in my day-to-day. It was probably for the best that, like, it was completed, and I wouldn't find any excuses to be like, to, like, not listen to it. And so I started listening to it while commuting to work. I mean, I finished two of the three in this month. I feel like I can do this audiobook thing. I'll tell you what the first book is about. I will discuss a little bit of the second book, but again, just like with Shadow Bride, I won't give away everything. I don't like spoilers. Oh my god, is that how you spell all those names? That is not how I thought those names were spelled. Niam, I think, gosh, they mostly use her nickname, so I don't remember. Niam Lux Finnegan is trying to move on with her life after losing her last known family member to cancer. She takes over her aunt's store, Hecata's Boutique, and prepares herself to continue grad school, believing herself entirely alone in the world. Lux's parents vanished during a vacation 2 decades ago, leaving her without answers. But everything changes when Soren, a stranger who claims to know the truth about her parents, enters her store. Soren reveals truths about Lux that will alter her life forever. Her dormant magical abilities awaken as her world spirals. If the fake queen knew Lux's true identity, Luxe would be dead already. As it is, the queen is growing curious about Luxe, which means she is in danger. Fleeing with Soren, she embarks on a perilous journey joined by 2 other High Fae, Alistair and Calyx. Surrounded by the 3 distractingly gorgeous females, Luxe finds herself in a precarious situation concerning both their lives and their hearts. Together, they attempt to unlock her magical potential as they unravel a prophecy about the Fae monarchy and try to avoid capture. In this first book of Luxe's Lullaby trilogy, Luxe must accept her heritage and navigate her burgeoning powers in order to save the only family she has left, while also navigating the growing attraction between herself and 3 very different females. This is a portal fantasy. Luxe's parents are dead, she's living with her aunt, and it opens up with her aunt's funeral, essentially. Her aunt has just died from cancer. Her aunt had a magic shop and she did card readings or whatever. Right after her aunt dies, this really gorgeous guy, his name is Soren, comes and tells her that he has been assigned to follow her for years. So he has actually been following her for years to protect her. And he tells her that she actually has magic abilities from her aunt and her mom's side. And also, she is half Fae from her dad's side. And not only that, but her dad was supposed to be the heir to the throne. She's told that there was this prophecy that foresaw her coming, and that actually her dad is alive and being kept prisoner by the queen, aka her grandmother, who also knows about the prophecy, by the way, and who is evil. And at some point they find that they have to run for their lives, and so they end up in this safe house where they meet Alistair and Calyx, and other things happen, and the 3 of them kind of pair up and they are forced to go into the Fae world to kind of avoid capture. The story is basically in part Luxe trying to piece together the pieces of her heritage that nobody ever told her about, because she had this magic, it was dormant for some reason, now having magical abilities, but now she's a Fae, but she can't really use the magic, but she can, and so it's very confusing. And so a lot of it is that journey of her trying to figure out who she is and what she can do. Obviously, there is the fact that they want to try to save the father as well, and also avoid being killed by the queen. Basically, they feel like if they can save the dad, then he can fulfill that prophecy for her, and become king. Then they won't be having to run away from this queen who is basically made everyone really fearful in the Fae world. There is obviously a reverse harem aspect to it. I will say it is not really smutty. It's more slow burn than anything else. There is a lot of tension. It's mostly about this journey. They're trying to find out about her powers. They're trying to get allies. They're trying to find out how to save the dad. So it's mostly about that. I'm trying to because I kind of listened to them back to back, I'm trying to remember what was part of the first book and what was part of the second one. And I hope that I'm not spoiling anything in the first book because they kind of run together. The second book basically starts directly after the first one. The overall plot that they're doing is trying to get allies and trying to basically prepare because they want to overthrow the queen. So it continues throughout both the books, and as I'm listening to the third one, it's continuing in that one as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened in the first one and happened in the second one. I feel like this is what happens in the first one. The second one is Luxe and Quest. Okay, looking at it now, I actually feel like I can read part of this. I'll tell you more about it, and then I'll give you my thoughts overall for both the books, because it's pretty similar. In the highly anticipated second installment of Luxe's Lullaby trilogy, Luxe and her companions find themselves facing even greater challenges as they delve deeper into the dangerous world of the Fae. The 4 race against time to find a solution that will allow Luxe to wield her powers without succumbing to their crippling side effects, while also gathering allies willing to stand against the tyrannical Fae Queen. As they uncover some of the Queen's well-kept secrets, their bonds are tested like never before. They must summon all their courage and cunning to survive the treacherous path ahead. I won't read that part because that's something that happened in the first book. I'll skip that paragraph. In this captivating sequel, the stakes are higher, the dangers are deadlier, and the fate of the Fae realm hangs in the balance. Can Luxe and the guys find the path to victory despite the difficulties they face at every turn? Kind of like how I was saying before, their quest continues. At this point, the queen who was suspicious of them knows of them, so they feel like they're racing against time. Luxe is having issues with her Fae part of the powers, and so they can't really have her having all these side effects every time she tries to use them. So they're trying to figure out how can they stabilize her powers while also getting allies while also trying to like escape the queen. So a lot of things are happening, and that's kind of what the story is really about. Overall, what did I think about the story? So I thought it was cute. I think it's cute. I think it's an easy read. I think it's really fun, especially when I am stuck in traffic. It's been a great distraction. It's fun that it's a portal, and it actually continues to be a portal. Like, they go back and forth between the real world and the Fae world. So I thought that that was like a really fun element to it, that it's not just like the one way. I think that like finding out about like Luxe and her past and like her journey has been really entertaining. What I will say about the romance, okay, so I like reverse harem. I've read plenty of reverse harems. I really liked the guys. I thought all three of them are great. They're really fun. They're very different. There is one tiny little thing that I don't know if I would feel the same if I would have read it versus if I'm listening to it. I don't know if I can do spicy books while I'm driving or parking at work. I think I start getting really like, I start feeling like everyone can hear me and I'm like freaking out. So I feel like maybe that has like clouded my judgment, that if I had read it in peace, I would have been like feeling the same emotions, versus listening to it in the car and like half freaking out while like some of the more tender or like spicy moments happen. The second book is a little bit more spicy than the first one. There are more like open sex scenes, but not actually. I don't know how else to describe it without spoiling, but it's not like an overtly, in my opinion, it's not like an overtly like super spicy book. It's just like, it has like moments, obviously, that things happen and they are adults, and it is described. I know that I'm making it sound like, okay, that's super smutty. I don't think so. I don't. I will say it's a slow burn. So like, I think that's part of why I don't think it's like super smutty, because things don't happen really quickly, if I'm making sense. There's a lot more of like sexual tension than anything. Anyway, the one thing that I will say that is a bit of a criticism, that again, I can't tell if it's because I'm listening to it or what, is that I sometimes feel that despite the fact that all three of the guys are different, like one is the warrior, one is like the one that has known her for like ages, the like, you know, and the other one is like the more like suave, like sexy guy, whatever. Sometimes I feel like the relationship leans towards one person more. I feel like if you were to have put those three characters as just one or even two, you would still have the same dynamic as the fact that there's three. So that is something that I don't like. And I think like the moment that I started noticing the fact that most of the romantic things were happening with one character, with another one kind of awkwardly there, and the third one constantly, in my opinion, being kind of forgotten and ignored, and like one of them has like trauma and I feel like they dismiss him a lot, and I don't know, I just feel like it wasn't equal. And one thing that I personally need in reverse harems is for the attention to be equal, and when it's not, it's like that's the only thing I can focus on. So that is the one thing that I can say. Maybe other people think it's equal and they're not seeing this. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like once I noticed it, it was like, it's all that I can notice now. So it's made it so like whenever there's like something romantic happening with the one character, I'm annoyed for no reason. But yeah, I don't know why. That is the one and only thing that I will say. But I think it's just me, because it has really high ratings. People are loving it. I really enjoy it too. I mean, I like listened to the first two and I'm listening to the third one now. I'm really enjoying the story and I'm really enjoying where it goes. But that is the one thing that like takes me out of the story every once in a while. I can't believe we got through all these books. I'm so thirsty at this point from speaking for so long. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good crop of books this month, and I hopefully have convinced you to read, listen to all of them. I think that they're all really worth it in their own way. They're very different, so whatever vibe you're feeling, hopefully it's in here. This has been my August reads. See you on the next page.